It's been just a couple of days since I last did my most recent live. I really hope that you enjoyed our little bit of a deep dive into Greek mythology, and I hope that you guys went and downloaded the book and you started reading it as well. I'm still trying to figure out at this point which Greek god we're going to take a look at next, because as of right now, I am not 100% sure. Okay, I really did enjoy just me going back and talking to you guys about the story of Artemis. I really did enjoy the story of Artemis a lot. Right now I'm kind of like stuck in between a little bit of a rock and a hard place when it comes to, I mean, I'm going to do them both. I just don't know which one I'm feeling more energetically pulled towards when it comes to um the story that I want to tell next. I don't know. Because Hades is definitely drawing my attention, because Hades is a really important part to me, just period. When we're talking about Pluto, when we're talking about the depth, when it pertains to Scorpios, when we're talking about just Mars itself, like I said, it's very important. So I don't know. I'm leaning more towards maybe talking about um, Hades first, but then there's also Apollo that I really want to talk about Apollo as well, or AKA the sun time. Um, and right now, I'm actually trying to look and see, because I think someone did do a reading on Cardi B. I think someone did a reading on Cardi B back in the past. So I think somebody did it based off of being able to, um, what was I saying? Oh, I think somebody in the past had posted a live on Instagram. I think it was an astrologer, and they actually had a chance to be able to read Cardi B's chart. And I believe she actually was there with them as well. So I was trying to see if I can go back through Twitter and see if I can get Cardi B's birth time. But I just looked it up on my Twitter, and it says it wasn't there. Now, if you kind of been a little bit behind when it pertains to Cardi B, recently she just popped in the news. I think whenever I first saw the video, it was from last night, like late last night. It came across my timeline, and it was of Cardi B throwing a microphone at somebody who threw a drink at her. So, um, and that ended up making the news, of course. So I actually have the video right here. So if in case you guys missed it and you are a little bit behind, I don't know if the sound is going to play appropriately, but I'm about to share my screen so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Hello everybody that you've stuck your head in here, but you haven't said anything per usual. It's okay. Hello all of you guys. So I hope you've been enjoying your week, or however we want to call it. So yeah, I'm about to try to pull it up right now. Okay, let's do it that way. Share my screen. Okay, I just want to share this tab right here. Okay, so let me go back. There it is. Here's a video. There's no sound, so just look. As you can see, there was some young lady in the audience. Cardi B was performing in Las Vegas. Now, why she was performing in Las Vegas, I am not 100% sure. I know there was some sort of big UFC fight that happened last night. So I don't know if that is because that's why she was there, but there are a lot of people in Vegas. So the young lady ended up throwing water on Cardi B from a cup. Now, in this day and age, you just really don't know what people have on their minds, okay? It could have legit been water in a cup. However, like I said, you just don't know. You know, you don't know if they could have had something else that was in the cup that looked similar to the water. It could have been anything. It could have been something that could have harmed your skin or anything like that. So I can understand the kind of like knee-jerk reaction in a way that she had, because you just never know with people. I mean, people are crazy. So they could, who knows, they could throw pee, they could throw acid, they could throw anything. So I kind of get that. So this particular video that keeps, of course, playing on loop is what Cardi B has been in the news for recently because of her reaction. Okay. So this is what kind of, it didn't really give me a knee jerk reaction because I have definitely talked about Cardi B in the past, but it kind of made me want to look at her chart just by herself. I did do a reading about Cardi B, Doja, Megan, Nicki Minaj, Coral Ray, Lotto, and one more. I did a combined reading in a way to like see their numerology in terms of the success behind their stage name, etc., etc. So in this instance, I'm just doing a look at her personality just to continue with what I've been looking at before. So I'm going to stop sharing this because you guys get the point. I'm going to have back to this in a minute, but there also is something else I wanted to look at. Where'd it go? How do you go? You see, that's kind of like the issue here with me. How do you get back to your profile on the Twitter? Oh, I found it, but how do you get back to your profile on the Twitter on your computer? But I found it, so either way. I'm trying to find bookmarks. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again. This doesn't have anything to do with Cardi B, but I just want to make note to you guys that this is actually something that I talked about in the reading that I did on Young Thug, if it's going to load. Okay, so this is what I'm on right now. I wanted to save this bookmark because I thought this was very interesting. And I think whenever I did this reading on Young Thug, and I think I did a combined reading between Young Thug and Gunna, I'm pretty sure I did mention this. But of course, for some reason, whenever I say something, um, it's almost just like, we're going to skip right past that because that just sounds crazy until it comes out and it's kind of like verified in a way. So this was from earlier today. Now this is a news reporter, and this actually was on the news, but this says attorneys for Young Thug, that he is currently locked away on RICO charges right now. So attorneys for Young Thug filed a motion on claiming that co-defendant Shannon Stillwell, who I don't have a picture of as of right now because I did not bookmark his picture, but Shannon Stillwell, who is facing numerous charges, including murder, was arrested by police while in the midst of a religious ceremony which involved supposed sacrifice of goats. Now, the news reporter did make a note of this as well. He said, "Not sure if Mr. Stillwell practices voodoo, but the reporter did spend time in Miami and he learned a lot about apparently sacrificing animals, etc., etc., and saying in one ceremony, worshipers wear all white and they sacrifice goats in an effort to bring forth Loa. I don't know if that is a god, excuse me, or goddess tied to Ifa. I'm not super well versed in that, but apparently in Atlanta, the Ifa community is very, very big, which I did not know that. But apparently, according to him and his investigations, they did this particular ritual to help, which to run the universe and can grant blessings. Now, like I said, in the combined reading that I did on Young Thug, whenever probably this happened, I did make a note of that where I said is giving spiritual sacrifices. And it's very interesting how, and I'll actually click on the image so you guys can see what the exact verbiage says in the lawsuit or in the motion, excuse me. So this will be on paragraph 2. Although this issue does not directly involve, now the motion that the attorney filed, I don't necessarily know the exact verbiage behind it. But as he said, they're trying to remove a particular point of evidence from being used in court now. And, me thinking of that, it makes me think, okay, I mean, sacrificing goats or trying to explain to the jury that this is a ritualistic practice is not anything bad. It's just based off of like, sacrificing a goat when it comes to paying blessings based off of the religion. I really don't think that's really a bad thing to say if we're talking about in front of a jury. But I guess from the attorney's standpoint, it goes to the fact of relevance. I mean, what would be the relevancy of, you know, um, making testimony about a goat sacrifice? But then again, I guess in my brain, it's just like, what's the big deal? You know, because this is practiced in a lot of religions. And actually, if you probably don't know this about me. Well, I used to be like a huge, huge, huge sucker for 90 Day Fiance. I actually still watch it. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It's kind of getting a little bit dull these days. So I've really been like enjoying pillow talk. So that's like a little bit of my guilty pleasure, okay? So I've kind of like been enjoying pillow talk, but on this new season, I think this one is 90 Day Fiance UK. There is a scene the guy, this white guy from UK, he's about to get married to this, I forgot her name, from Nigeria. So a part of the dowry is he has to sacrifice a goat. What's the big deal? He's sacrificing the goat because it's part of the dowry. So that's what I'm saying. It doesn't really seem like it's a big deal if it's just based off of culturally speaking. Paragraph 2 of the motion, although this issue does not directly involve Mr. Williams, as he was never involved/arrested on March 17th, 22, nor charged with Mr. Drinks' supposed murder, law enforcement officers arrested Mr. Shannon Stillwell at this address while in the midst of a religious ceremony which involved supposed sacrifice of goats. There is absolutely no benefit/probative value, and the prejudice is great to show this religious ceremony to the jurors simply to show the arrest of Mr. Stillwell as well as Mr. Quamarvius. I think that's how you say it. Um, but I thought that was kind of interesting because, like I said, to me, I don't really see the big deal when it pertains to showing the jury about the sacrifice of the goats. What's the big deal? But I did want to share that with you guys, because it's all whenever things come up and they come up based off of what you predicted, especially whenever people say you're kind of crazy for that prediction. Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to also talk about Kylie Jenner, but we'll do that another day. Okay, so like I said, as far as Cardi B is concerned, I thought I was going to be able to find her birth time because she did do that live with an astrologer, but this may have been during the pandemic, but I didn't see anything. I think the young lady who did the reading just asked Cardi B what her rising sign was. I think that was it. So I'm just going to have to use the standard birth time at this particular point when it comes to Cardi B. So I'll be using the birth time of um, 12 p.m. Okay. And that's, if you don't know somebody's birth time, of course, there is a thing in astrology where you can rectify somebody's chart, meaning that you can find out their birth time by like asking them questions about major life events, or sometimes you may be able to gauge somebody's birth time depending on features. Because I know certain rising signs can make you very, broad shoulders, very tall, etc., etc. I think I kinda did that a little bit when it pertained to Megan Thee Stallion, so I might have been maybe like an hour or 2 off, but I think I kinda figured that out just based off of, you know, sh I mean, come on, her thighs are very noticeable, so there has to be some type of heavy Sagittarius energy in her chart. I was thinking Sagittarius rising, or maybe even it's either Sagittarius, Leo, or Libra. It's kinda like what I was getting from Megan Thee Stallion just based off of her build, okay? But anyway. Oh, okay. So Cardi was born in New York. I don't know why I want to say the Bronx. And maybe it was the Bronx. Was she born in the Bronx or was she born in New York? Because I've heard her say both. I just don't necessarily know which one is exact. But we're just gonna go with what they have in the system. Okay. So October 11th, 92. She just got out of her Saturn return, or is it still happening right now? I think Saturn is retrograde, so it's likely, if it's still retrograde, if I'm thinking correctly, then it's likely kind of like going backwards a little bit to clean up things that she probably missed that she didn't necessarily work on. You know that she had the whole case with Tasha K and the whole case with settling. She had that brawl at the strip club, so that case ended up getting resolved during her Saturn return. So I don't know if there's still some more stuff that needs to be cleaned up for her. So I haven't looked at transits, so I can't confirm nor deny that. Okay. So I'll just use, for some reason, I like using 1219. Maybe I'm not being biased. But I just like using 1219. Okay. So I'm about to share my screen again so you guys can see Cardi B's chart. I guess I'll share that. I think this should work, sharing the window. Okay, there we go. So I didn't want to make the window super big because I want to make sure that I see if you guys have any questions about the chart. I want to make sure that I address those while we are doing this video. Okay. I was going to record this video on my streaming software, but for the last couple times, there's been some audio issues. Somebody did mention that. It's like, look here, guys. Maybe it's just me because I'm kind of chill about stuff. I really don't make a big deal out of it. I know it is a big deal whenever you're trying to hear. I get that. But I really don't make a big deal out of audio issues and tech issues because at this point, tech is about as unstable as us. So I really don't be bothered with it, to be honest. It's not really that big of a deal because I know stuff happens and sometimes stuff is just outside of your control and I don't make a fuss about it. And as I'm getting older, people who make a fuss about things that are literally outside of their control and or outside of other people's control, I'm starting not to like you even more. Before, I would just be like, "Oh, okay, now you're really bothering me because yeah." But but that's just me. Okay, so anyway, back on task. So here is Cardi B's chart that I just generated just based off of just a random birth time because we don't have hers. So we'll start first with Cardi B's personality, okay? As you can see, I don't need to make it any bigger because I'm pretty sure you guys can see that. Cardi B has her moon in Aries. Now, as you see where my mouse is going, look at this shape right here. From midhaven to her Uranus and her Neptune, on over to her moon, on over to her Mars and up, and then across. This is considered a grand cross in a natal chart, which is, if you see, look at all these squares and oppositions. That kind of makes me think of somebody who is very who has a lot of tension, a lot of built up tension in their body, in their chakras, however you want to label it, especially probably in her root chakra. Now, I've mentioned this before, maybe not on a live, but I've said before that just me looking at the chart and looking at the chart as your body of work. You know, we have the 10th house. So where I'm pointing my mouse, this is 10th house right here, the midhaven. So we have the 10th house, which would be like your crown to me. And then we have the 4th house, which is the bottom of our chart. To me, I take that as your root chakra because it's on the ground. Again, the 4th house is your foundation. It is your roots. And if you think about the root chakra and you look at the diagram, it is like the lowest point on like the little chakra sheet. And if your root chakra is out of balance, then you may create or you may have that type of personality, overactive, very has a lot of tension, shit angry, okay? And it could be, I don't know if the root chakra is tied to control, it could be, but it makes me think of someone that struggles when it comes to losing control or not being in control. So possible control issues. And whenever that does not happen, there is this explosive type of anger behind it whenever you are not able to be in control. So for some reason, whenever I look at this grand cross for Cardi B, it makes me think that way. And this may, like I said, this could be root chakra, but this also could be relationships, and the relationships that she creates when it comes to, her career, helping her career, or just relationships, period, when it pertains to her love life. So I would even possibly go as far as saying that, her marriage would probably be a part of this. Now, it may be one of those things where what if Offset maybe is the one that is in control in the relationship, even though the consensus or the way it comes out makes it seem like that Cardi B is in control. But I would bet not. I would bet not. Because Mars is what we are attracted to, because that's passion. Mars is tied to sex, right? So her Mars is in fall. Mars is exalted in Capricorn. Remember I talked about before, across the street neighbors, etc. So Cancer's across the street neighbor is Capricorn because they're sister signs, right? But Mars really exalts in the sign of Capricorn. Now Capricorn, we know, is tied to Saturn. Saturn is tied to Kronos. Okay, now we know Kronos had a lot of kids. Kronos tried to eat his kids because he just, he it was prophesied to him that his kids were going to take over. They were going to, push him out the way, pretty much. Okay, so there is still that amount of respect that we could say the god Aries has for Kronos, despite what he did. Now, Zeus, which is the son of Kronos, Zeus could give two shits about Saturn or Kronos in this instance. Zeus is tied to, as I've spoken about before. Okay. So Zeus could give two shits about his father, and that's very obvious when we talk about um, if Saturn and Jupiter are a match in terms of planetarily speaking. They ain't, because Zeus doesn't like the fact, of course, that his father did what he did. But in the Greek mythology story, to me it came across like Zeus's mother is convinced Zeus to overthrow his father because none of the other kids wanted to do that. So we'll have to talk about the story of Zeus, like I said, and Hades, and who's the other one? Apollo and Ares and all that stuff. But in terms of Cardi B, in terms of what she is attracted to, now I've said this before on Cardi B's chart. I've said this before that, in my opinion, I think Cardi B, her preference probably is women, because Cancer is tied to women, it's tied to the womb. Okay. But even if we take that out, even if we take that speculation out, and Cardi B is attracted to these Mars type of energies, of course, we could say that the downfall is these men that she's attracted to are also attracted to a lot of women as well. So it doesn't really matter how sexual you can, because that's what Mars is. Mars is that sexual type of energy because it's naturally tied to the eighth house anyway, as well as the first. Okay. So it's that naturally sexual type of energy. It's that, like I said, it's that compassion, it's that feverishly chill type of sexuality, I would say. But in this instance, when Mars is at fall, what can it do? But maybe we can apply what we just learned about Artemis the other day. Remember, we talked about how Artemis, which is the moon goddess, Artemis takes a vow of chastity. Artemis had no husband, Artemis didn't have any children, but Artemis had a cult following behind her in terms of people that also wanted to take a vow of chastity, because they wanted to, worshiping Artemis or the moon is following the moon's rules, which means husband, no kids, no sex. If you have those things and you come to Artemis and you want to be a part of her cult, she likely will not let you in. But however, it's going to take a very special scenario for you to be accepted by moon goddess Artemis. So you can see how Aries, who is God Aries, who is ruled by Mars, is very sexual, right? He had a full-blown affair with Aphrodite or Venus. So what you mean no sex? That doesn't work for Aries. So if we just take that little snippet of the story and we apply it to planetary rulerships here in signs, we can kind of gauge an idea of why Artemis, the moon, Cancer, doesn't really like Aries. Because and this is just my opinion, to me, Artemis is kind of just like, why can you not control yourself? Why do you have to have sex? Why does it have to be about that? It's a lack of respect to me from Artemis or the moon to Aries because of the way that Aries is. I don't understand. But we know Artemis, the moon, of course, has a twin. I talked about it in the live I did the other day. So if you missed that live, go back and listen towards the end and you'll hear the story of Artemis. Artemis has a twin, the sun, aka Apollo. Apollo snitched on Aries to his father. Apollo's father is Zeus. Apollo told Zeus that Aphrodite or Venus was having an affair, or Apollo told Aphrodite's husband that she was having an affair. So you can kind of, I mean, again, even in the story, it talked about how though Artemis and Apollo pretty much stick together, the moon and the sun stick together. There is that like blinding loyalty in a way. And they also are siblings. Are you going to take the side of your sibling? Or are you going to take the side of your sister-in-law or however the hell you call it? You're going to take the side of your sibling, the one that you were almost born at the same time as. So we can also add and say that the moon doesn't necessarily like Aries because the moon remembers, the moon never forgets. It's hard for the moon to forget, hence the moon holds grudges. So maybe if we put it that way, the moon probably is also holding a grudge against Aries or Mars as well because of what Mars did. But I talked about it in the story that can be how moon or Cancer is. Okay. So, like I said, in terms of Cardi B in this instance, with Mars being a fall in Cancer, there's a simple lack of respect. So that may be, unfortunately, what Cardi B may be attracted to as well. If we're talking about men or even possibly women, she may be attracted to people that, genuinely speaking, at their core, have a lack of respect for her, which in turn could highlight this moon Mars aspect, which makes me think of emotional shit show. But this is just all based off of what she's attracted to. And plus, her Mars, again, we're just going to take the chart as is. Her Mars is in the seventh house. So it's like kind of like a double negative as well, because we know just on the natal chart itself, the seventh house is also tied to Libra, which Mars is in detriment in as well. So it's in a house that it's in detriment in, number one. And number two, it's in a sign that it's at fall in. You can't win for losing. It's like those people where they have it all, but they still feel empty inside because they don't have the love. They really wish they could have the love, but it just will not come. It's a constant battle. It's a constant energy of being disrespected, or however else we want to describe the relationship. So regardless, we could possibly assume that love could be Cardi B's fall. Maybe in a way her marriage could also be her fall as well. It's one of those things where you're doing so great, then somebody comes along, and because you are blinded by your at fall Mars, you put your trust in this person. And maybe you put this trust in this person because they may, protect you, or honestly, it could just simply be sex. If we're just being honest, that could be what blinds you, what makes you want, excuse me, what makes you want to be bound to this person and that type of capacity. But it don't always mean that it's going to benefit you. In my opinion, astrology aside, whenever I look at Cardi B and Offset, energetically speaking, in my opinion, I feel like that them being benefits Offset more than it benefits Cardi B. That's just my opinion, astrology aside. I really don't see how her being married to him is really a benefit. But like I said, maybe if her preference is actually women, you know, that maybe she wants to be married to a woman, or maybe she would like to possibly be married to a woman, and it's not, if we just take the chart as is, it's not shocking if, it's not shocking that all her relationship issues are going to play out in a very public manner, with her Mars being in the seventh house of public. But also it's in the house of open enemies, okay? So we know Mars is, like war, because it represents tied to the god of war. So even with that being said, as well, people have no problem going to war with her in a very public sense, but that's just based off of your seventh house. Um, and then what was I gonna say? Oh, her seventh house Lord right here. Her seventh house is in Gemini. Okay. And I'm trying to make this bigger so you guys can see, but I don't know if it's gonna work. Yeah, I can make it bigger. Okay, you see I'm circling this 7 right here. The line underneath is associated with the house. So 7th house would not be this line right here. Nuh-uh, that's 8th. 7th house would be this line going right here. So her 7th house ruler is Gemini. Okay, no, Gemini or Mercury is the gossiper, the gossip queen, honestly. And she has her Mercury in Scorpio. I talked about this before, because I think Gabrielle Union's placement as well, very sarcastic type of energy when it comes to a Scorpio Mercury. Okay. And it could definitely get on your nerves. It can that's type of sarcasm can definitely get under your nerves. It can definitely get, under your skin, especially if you don't really know how this person is, which can cause a lot of problems for you, because you're automatically thinking that, oh, they're going to catch my sarcasm and stuff like that, but they don't. But again, since Mercury is in a Mars ruled sign, your sarcasm can be kind of aggressive, almost like a guy, I guess, very masculine in that way when it pertains to how you talk. But I can also understand as well why her, I guess, voice is, I guess, kind of like perfect for rap, because she has that, that grunt. Me, not so much. Because because I'm sarcastic like that. Sarcasm, no, that's just me. But anyway, also with Mercury being in Scorpio, it can make the person very fickle minded. So whenever I think of fickle, it makes me think of somebody very indecisive, but that kind of goes along with her sun in Libra as well. You know, so like I said, in terms of what she is attracted to, it also comes across. It's very like, I'm not saying that, Cardi B is not nice or anything like that, because she probably could be like so nice, but it almost comes across like someone who is automatically attracted to the fight. But again, you have to remember the moon, just to me, Mars doesn't respect moon, moon doesn't respect Mars. I think this is a mutual situation. You won't really ever win in that particular instance if you don't know how to bring it in. Also, fighting women that your husband or boyfriend or girlfriend is attracted to isn't going to help you, because it's probably going to make them more attracted to said women. You know how there are some people where they just like to flirt, you know, and that is just their thing. And that's their thing. Okay. But if you are somebody where you cannot deal with that, especially if you have a Mars in fall, like Cancer, or if you have a Mars in Libra or Taurus, then you're going to have to suck it up. Like, seriously, you're going to have to suck it up. Doesn't always mean they're flirting to try to be with that person. Some people, they just do it because they just do it, but it doesn't mean that they are acting on that. So Cardi B would definitely benefit if she was maybe just to be cool. It just be cool, but it's almost like she doesn't have that button. But it goes back to me saying that we may have one where they cannot not be in control. It bothers them Now, this may have started at home because, like, the fourth house is tied to home. The fourth house is tied to your root chakra. But also, if your root chakra is out of balance, you'll have somebody who is very insecure. Okay. So I hate to say it. Even though Cardi B, and then now she's like getting that name for being the one that always wants to put on young upcoming rappers. I think that probably is. Maybe it's more so along the lines of she wants to sleep with them, maybe, but she may be pretty jealous, and that may be a battle that she constantly possibly fights, and a lot of it has to do with here. This Mars and Cancer at fall is starting from possibly the husband. She needs somebody who is going to reassure her that it is okay. I'm not trying to disrespect you, but unfortunately, she's attracted to people that disrespect her, especially if we're talking about love, speak love wise. And maybe for some reason, again, because the moon reflects light. So this could have been the dynamic she may have saw a lot in her environment. It doesn't have to be in terms of how she grew up, but she could have just saw this in her environment in terms of, at school. It could have been maybe if she had like a best friend and she was at this best friend's house all the time, then subconsciously you are being attracted to that because that is what you know. If you kind of want to see how someone grew up in a way, I kind of look at the eighth house. That's just me. Okay. The eighth house, I feel like, and I think I actually spoke about this maybe like last year when I was just now learning about it. The eighth house can show, you know, home life because of course the eighth house is fourth from the fourth house, okay? But it because and we know the fourth house is home. So that's interesting. So you have two places that you can kind of look at when it pertains to how someone grew up. Okay. To me, because I've seen a couple instances, I think Miley Cyrus, like people who actually grew up in wealth, they have like a 29-degree fourth house or like a 5-degree or a 17-degree fourth house along with like a 29 or 5-degree whatever eighth house. So that is just like, okay, they're going to continue the legacy, etc., etc. Okay. But that is just my theory on the matter. Just saying, that's just my theory on the matter. But anyway, so we're supposed to be talking about her personality, but I just wanted to make note of her Mars and Cancer. Constant reaction to the public whenever you are done wrong. I'm not saying that she is wrong for reacting, but she also doesn't know how to properly react. It probably gets nasty because, again, if we think about how Artemis likes to punish you whenever you don't worship her feet, we read about in the story how she turned that man's daughter into a deer because he wouldn't sacrifice his daughter to prove his allegiance or loyalty to Artemis. Even though Artemis told the man, "You don't have to worry about sacrificing your daughter anymore. I don't need it." But really, Artemis wanted him to sacrifice the daughter all along. But it's very mind games type of energy, which again could be another gripe when it pertains to people complaining about cancers because it's that mind game energy. You're not being direct in terms of what you want. If you want me to sacrifice my child, then say that. Don't change it up in the middle and say, never mind, don't do it. But really, you're testing me to see if I'm going to do what you originally wanted me to do in the beginning. It's mind fuckaroo, if we're going to be honest. Okay, like I said, it's very mind games type of energy. And she may possibly try to do the same thing when it pertains to her relationships, but she just ends up looking like an idiot in some type of a manner. It's one of those things where, even though Cardi B is who she is and stuff like that, and she da 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 da, da, it kind of gives me that energy where the people that she's dealing with, they ain't afraid to lose her. And that may also be the internal battle that she has in herself, because she may also kind of like feel that at times, like, wow, I think that you are really not afraid to lose me. In terms of not afraid to lose her in a manner of like just being who she is. They may not want to lose her because she is benefiting them financially speaking, because the moon is also accumulated wealth. So, as I said before, I I think, in my opinion, energetically speaking, that Offset benefits more in this relationship or marriage than she does. The accumulation of wealth, or the wealth that she has accumulated, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of it goes to maybe Offset and his projects and stuff like that. Is giving very, shit, he might as well be a stay-at-home dad. I mean, it could work, because that's the type of dynamic in a way that I kind of get when it pertains to him. It literally makes you think of like someone just riding your coattails, unfortunately. That's kind of like the vibe I get sometimes when it pertains to these two, okay? Um, but yeah, I'll probably look at Cardi B's um Mars degree, as well as see if she has an asteroid conjunct her Cancer Mars, because that's going to play a part as well if there is a asteroid conjunct. But let's actually talk about the degree. Hold on. I don't know if you guys can see. Oh, okay, wait, let me go back. I don't know if you guys can see that. Can you see that? Okay, no, you can't. I'll show it to you in just a second. Um, so let's take a look at the degree of Cardi B's Mars. So it looks like Cardi's Mars is on the 15 degrees of Cancer, and 15 degrees is tied to Gemini. Now, if we want to do it the same way I did with Ariana Grande, we can break it down just in terms of numerology speaking. We'll break down to that number 15, and um we'll break it down to a single digit, and we'll look at my astrology and numerology guide to kind of like gauge. Okay, so the number 15 breaks down to the number 6, and actually the number 15 in tarot is the devil card, so you can see kind of like where I'm getting my consensus from a little bit. And we know that devil, Capricorn, of course, Saturn. But the depiction of the devil card on the tarot, it does give me very Hades energy, but it also gives me that energy of punishment, because the devil chains up the lovers. Now, the debate, I guess, for myself is still out if the lovers depicted on the um devil card is that of Aphrodite and Aries. It may be. Actually, it may be. Because the number 6 is tied to Venus, and the number 1 is tied to Sun. So the couple depicted on the devil card may literally be Aphrodite or Venus and Aries whenever they were put out there for having an affair. And their punishment literally was being chained together, being stuck together, and putting them out for everybody to see. It's like, look at these two, losers sitting up there cheating. And the crazy thing is that Venus cheated on her husband with somebody who literally is the same person. Aries has a brother Hephaestus, and Venus was married to Aries' brother Hephaestus. So it's not like she was getting anything super different from from Aries, because Hephaestus is also can do the same stuff as Aries, maybe a little bit more, because Hephaestus actually was the weapon maker for the 12 gods on Olympus. So he may have a little bit better. He may be able to do a little bit more. But the thing is, with Venus's husband, the first one, he had some type of abnormality. So he may have had like a club foot. He may have had some type of disability. So, Venus's first husband's mother kind of like looked down upon him. She wanted to kick him out of Olympus because he was born with something that was not his fault. So I don't know if Venus kind of just like, I'll just go for the better looking brother that doesn't have a disability that can probably get it up, you know? And you got to pay for that though, because where's your loyalty? She don't have none. I mean, I'm not saying she doesn't have any. In my opinion, just based off of me reading the story, I don't think she has any loyalty. She has loyalty to what she wants to do. So I guess that would be kind of like loyalty, but nonetheless. So I'm going to show this other part of my screen so we can go over this astrology and numerology guide so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Okay, do not let me bore you, please. I'm pretty sure you can see that. Yeah, okay. So this is my astrology and numerology guide. It's available on my website if you guys want to look at it. But if going back to Cardi B, she has her Mars on that 15 degrees Cancer. So I'm going to break down the 15 and break it down to a 6, okay? As you can see, Gemini. Now, this may go into what the text was saying about how a Mercury and Scorpio can be very fickle. Okay, we're kind of like, oh, because Gemini can be kind of fickle a little bit as well, especially when it comes to love. Now we see the highlights here is love, passion, caring, generosity, devotion, which is what I said before. I said Cardi B probably is pretty nice and stuff like that. You know, it's just, I think a lot of it goes back to, could be jealousy. It could, oh shit, I'm already talking about that. It could be jealousy. It could be resentment. It could just be, you know, being unable to be in control. You know, is that situation where I can be in control everywhere else, but why does it feel like I'm not able to be in control when it pertains to relationships? But she also may try to control her partners in the relationship, which goes back to what I was talking about before. You trying to control somebody to make them stop flirting is going to make them flirt harder, possibly make them disrespect you more. And I know psychologically speaking, that doesn't make a lick of sense, but that may kind of be what goes down. And as you can see, the challenges with the number 6 is somebody who can be very jealous, somebody who can be kind of like, woe is me, self pity, you know, blame game type of energy, like 5 of Cups. I think the other day I had that wrong. I said 6 of Cups, but in my mind, I was actually seeing 5 of Cups. So the 5 of Cups is very woe is me, self pity type of energy, you know, and then we have resentment and we have envy. So those are the challenges that she likely faces a lot that unfortunately we get to see because of her Mars being in a very public house. That is the energy that we unfortunately have to lay eyes on when it pertains to the downside. But that other side of her, I mean, the other side of her, how could you deny it? How could you deny the generosity or the compassion or the devotion that especially when it pertains to, like I said, women. Okay? So again, things that are, they don't have, but that's the thing. When I put challenges here, challenges don't mean things that is going to tear up the rest of your life. No, challenges are just hurdles that you have to jump over. And you know, it doesn't mean that this is going to last a lifetime, because you can get over jealousy, you can get over self-pity, you can get over resentment, you can get over envy. A lot of it is just accepting. A lot of it is saying, you know, if she sees somebody who has a husband that respects them, it's okay to internally tell yourself, wow, you know, I might be kind of envious of that, because why don't I have that? It's okay to say that. You're human. You know, it's okay to be human about it. But it's whenever you deny it and just be like, I ain't jealous, but you know deep down that it bothers you because you wish that was your story. It can be your story though. You know, it all depends on the type of moves you make. It all depends on if you really want to get out of the predicament, the situation that you are in. So the lessons here with the number 6 are right here. Learn to open up your heart to life. And a lot of this closed heart coldness comes from this here, being jealous, woe is me, envious, resentful. And find love for those who may appear undeserving of it. She may, you know, and I kind of take that part right here as like, if you come from the struggle and you get out, You don't need to turn your nose up at people who are also in the same struggle as you. Now, she probably doesn't do that, but that is a lesson that would need to be learned if we're talking about the number 6. Like, yeah, you pulled yourself out of the trenches, but that is not necessarily that is not the majority of the situation. So you can't turn your back and lack empathy or understanding to those who are struggling to pull themselves out of that particular situation. Now, if she doesn't do that, then I would say that's probably a really, really good quality of hers, and she should focus more on putting that out there instead of putting like jealousy, envy, and all. That's not a personality. And of course, as we saw in her chart, which I'm going to show again in a second, we see how her moon makes a square aspect to her Mars. We know moon is personality. This should not be your personality right here. This section should not be your personality. You'll never work. You'll never win. You're going to fall. It's almost, it make like if, I don't know the exact story of Rome, but it kind of makes me think of Rome. It's Rome, the fall of Rome. You're getting greedy. You're having all these things. And then boom, here's the fall. You're not going to last making this your personality. It's not cute. This should be it right here. Love, compassion, caring, generosity, devotion. And actually, since we're on this list, I'm going to go back and I'm going to take a look at the chart. We're going to look at the chart again so we can see what degree her moon is on. I'm waiting for that to pull up. Okay, so her moon, 17 degrees Aries. Now we know 17 degrees is tied to Leo, right? 17 degrees is tied to, it's considered one of the fame degrees, 17, 5, 29, because those are Leo. Okay, so we have make sure you have that in your mind, 17 degrees. So we're going to go back to the astrology guide. Okay, I know I'm doing a lot of clicking on, clicking off, clicking on, clicking off, but just keep it in your mind. Okay, so we're back to this page. So now we're going to break down the numerology of Cardi B's moon, which is her personality. So number 8, which is actually naturally tied to Saturn, okay, is also tied to Leo as well, which of course is not shocking because, anyway. So the highlights with the number 8 or this Leonian type of energy, I mean, that also makes sense why she has great hair. I mean, her real hair is pretty great. I ain't gonna lie to her. I mean, it is great. But we have karma, power, passion, charm, organization, strength. Okay. But that goes back to what I was already covering in her Mars placement. So we're still pretty much on the right path here. Okay. So her personality, we could say, highlights these themes: karma, power, passion, charm, organization, and strength. Okay. Now the challenges here when it comes to her personality or that number 8 energy, we can have someone that can be a little bit of a bully, someone that can be possibly a little bit abusive. Honestly, I may have to add abrasive, in my opinion, to the challenges here, but I'll add that in later. Bullying, abuse, very rigid, vain, the negative side of her personality or her moon energy, you know. Um, Especially with it being Aries, and I'm not saying that, Aries is terrible, but especially with her moon being in Aries and that very Mars, fiery, passionate type of sign. I mean, yeah, this may be our Achilles heel right here. Bullying, abuse, rigid, vanity. Abuse doesn't have to mean, have to be so extreme. It could just be, it makes you think of somebody where they fight and it's like fight to the death. Fight to the damn death. I am going to rip the spinal cord out your back. Something like that. So the lessons here when we're talking about that number 8 energy, find your own inner strength instead of using other people to fight your battles. This makes me think of someone who always has a group of people with them. These group of people always end up fighting for them. Why do they have to do that? Because either you don't feel like that you can win the battle on your own, or you don't want to get your hands dirty. So that's another side of the situation here, possibly, when it would be pertaining to her personality. You don't want to get your hands dirty. But that is the lesson, though. You have to find a way to fight your own battles, and it doesn't always have to end in bloodshed. It doesn't always have to end in, bullying. It doesn't always have to end in, vanity. Kind of just like, what's the girl's name? The one who has a baby by G Herbo and just dating Moneybag Yo, that one. What's her name? Ari? Like that. It doesn't have to always end in you being very vain and you wanting to throw out all what you own. Because to me, whenever you do that, that makes me think that you don't have another personality besides what you own. Because maybe in your mind, you really don't feel like you're good enough without said pieces of materialistic things. That's immediately what I go to whenever I see someone always wanting to use what they own, what they accomplished as a talking point in an argument. I really could give two shits, to be honest. But that's just my opinion. Okay. So another part of the lessons here, learn to stand up for yourself, again, without dragging other people in it. But I said before, it makes you think of somebody that just does not want to get their hands dirty, so they use other people that are surrounded. Because of the number 8 being tied to power, it's not like you're not going to have people coming around you who are not willing to put themselves in harm's way so that your hands don't get dirty, because they are attracted to the power that you carry. But power is felt, power is not heard. If you truly have power, you don't have to convince people that you have power. You don't even really have to talk. I'm pretty sure you've been around somebody or been in a vicinity of somebody when you just know that they got power. They don't got to talk, they don't have to do anything, but it's an aura that comes off of them, you know? And while I'm speaking of aura, I'm actually going to take a look at Cardi B's life path number, because I've actually been looking at that quite a bit these days in terms of people's life path numbers. So I should know that. I knew that. Since she is October the 11th, she's a life path number 6. So this energy right here, what I talked about before, is going to be a big one. It's going to be a big one. This Gemini energy is going to be a big thing. She has a couple numbers that I feel like are going to be big. Of course, we know we have the day that she was born, the date that she was born, which is number 11. But that breaks down. See how we have here? I think I've talked about this before. Number 11 is inspirational, motivational, spiritual will, magnetizing, cooperative. Hence why, her hopping on a track is definitely a good thing, especially when it pertains to women, up and coming artists. Okay. But you have the downside of somebody who's very emotionally unstable, very indecisive, very fearful. And since the number 11 breaks down to number 2, I think I said it earlier. Since the 2 is moon is reflective, moon is like the mirror. It may think of someone who takes on the characteristics of the person that they are dating. So B may very much be what's the word? Ruled, or she may be very much controlled by the people that she is dating at the time. So she takes on the personality of the people that she is dating. So then that leaves us to, who are you? Well, who are you really? What's your personality really? Or your personality really is that Aries moon. You know, that moon energy that can be a bit of a bully, abusive, rigid, vain. So with her being married to Offset, maybe the reflective part of Cardi B's personality that isn't really Cardi B could be the fact of, if Offset is very humanitarian and stuff like that, she literally could just be the reflecting those qualities of Offset. So if he's very humanitarian, very collaborative, and all that good stuff, that's her. She takes on the personality of the person that she is with. So if you're taking on the personality of somebody that you're with, it makes you likable. And another good example of this would be Jocelyn Hernandez. She too, as well, is a number 2. She too takes on the personality of the person that she is sleeping with, that she is dating. So you can see when she got kind of like her start on, what is it, Love and Hip Hop, or however, she was dating Stevie J. Now, granted, Stevie J is a sleazeball, but something about Stevie J makes him likable, which in turn made Jocelyn likable. But now that she is dating the rat, because to me he seems like a rat. Now that she is dating, what's his name, Ballistic, her personality is just terrible. She's just terrible. But she's taking on the personality of the person that she is dating. And I would say the same thing when it pertains to Cardi B. So who knows what her personality or energetically what she would be giving off if she was dating somebody else, you know. So back to the chart once I pull it up. And I know some of you guys probably don't even know any of these people I'm talking about, but just go with me, okay? So we're back to the chart, okay? So let's take a look at the moon in Aries at 17 degrees, okay? So I'm going to take a look at the degree, okay? And then we will do something else. I mean, we won't really do something else, but oh yeah, fixed stars. I will take a look at the fixed stars. Okay, is this it? Where is it? Okay, I was checking on my astrology book, and remember how I said here that Cardi B's moon right here is making a square to her Mars in Cancer. Okay, but actually, shockingly, her planets would be considered reception, I would say, because if we switch them, Moon would be at home in Cancer and Mars would be at home in Aries. So, you know, that gives me a vibe of somebody where it's just, it makes me think of somebody who, she may have better self-control than what she's trying to lead on, but sometimes it's easier to be the villain, unfortunately. Growing up, my dad used to always have this saying. He used to always say, I'll be the bad guy. Welcome say hello to the bad guy. But he always used to do that when it just seems like, people are just gonna blame him for whatever. It's just like, okay, fine, I'll be the bad guy. But it kind of gives that same vibe with Cardi B. It's like, fine, I'll be the bad guy. You know? So anyway, but whenever the moon is in aspect with the Mars, then this can be a situation where, again, what is it? The senses and sensuousness play first fiddle. So remember, like I said, it gives me that vibe of somebody who very much is aware of what they're gonna do and how it's gonna impact people, but you are playing into like that 5% where you just want to rip somebody's head off and you shouldn't do it, but you do it anyway. Because again, for you, maybe you feel like it's just easier for me to be the villain, which is crazy thinking, but then again, people are crazy. Um, where was I going? Oh yeah, let's look at the 17 degrees of Aries. I have to pull up my list. If I can find it. Okay. And I will see if there's a fixed star on top of this moon placement. Okay, so Aries 17 degrees, pleasant, desire for peace, intervention, amity. Like I said, someone who is very much aware. So why? Why do that? That's crazy to me. Because energetically speaking, in terms of your personality, you want you want peace, you want balance. So what the hell are you thinking? This is what happens, people, when we accept people's personality and it's not really their personality, and we make them rich off of said personality. That's really damaging. This is what happens. This is the manifestation of what happens. I really hope whenever she gets older, she decides to take a step back and be like, you know what, this really is not me. I don't do this. But I don't think it's gonna happen because she has gotten paid off of being this way. So I don't know. One can dream. So let's take a look and see if she has any fixed stars on her moon. I think I should be able to share. Um, okay, let me see. I think I should be able to share this so you guys can see, but if not, don't worry about it. I'll just have to read it. Okay, so no, she doesn't have a fixed star on her moon. It's too far away because we have 4 degrees Alpharets and we have 21 degrees, but they're too far away for me to say that they play a part. And that goes back to what I was saying before, that she is 100% aware. Okay. Oh, let's take a look and see if her Mars has any sort of fixed stars on it. So her Mars was at 15 degrees Cancer. I think that it actually does. I think that's tied to dog bites or something like that. Yes, Sirius, I was right. So her Mars is exact conjunct the fixed sign Sirius as well as Canopus. Sirius, who is the dog star, or aka Sirius Black in Harry Potter. um this is a fixed star, excuse me, that is tied to ambition, pride, emotionality, fame. It's not shocking because Mars again is what you are attracted to. So it's not shocking that she would choose to go the route, be in a relationship with someone that's famous. Was that planned? I would say yes. I would say it's not like you just fell out of nowhere and it's just like, oh my God, I wouldn't buy it. But that's just me. To continue, the 14-degree asteroid or Sirius, pride, emotionality, fame, leadership, wealth, fires, drought, danger through, what is this word? I have no shame in looking up a word. I tell you something. The quality or state of being impetuous. Okay. Acting or speaking without thinking, or considering the consequences. Okay. Acting or thinking without considering the consequences in terms of the fixed star Sirius. But I think that specifically is in relation to love. Okay. And then I'll read the other one. 14 degrees, 51 seconds, Canopus. Caponus, I think that's how you say it, Caponus. Voyages, journeys, creativity, scandal, violence, great glory, fame, wealth, changes evil to good, the Rishi or Hindu sage, the Star of St. Catherine. Is she Catholic? Since we're talking about the Star of St. Catherine, Helmsman of the Argo. So she has two fortunate stars, exact conjunct her Mars in Cancer in the seventh house. So there really is no reason for her to be jealous because people are jealous of her. But again, she's mirroring, she's reflecting. She should really stop because what I say before, she should just chill because it not saying it's exactly going to happen because there's a lot of people in the world and there are probably other people as well when it pertains to having the same fixed stars and stuff like that, but she really doesn't have to try, and that's the crazy thing when it pertains to fame. She doesn't have to try. So she really should be a lot more calm, cool, and collected. Um, but I'm just telling you, I think deep down she actually probably is pretty chill. But again, you have to keep up the thing that made you famous. But I don't think you don't have to do that. I don't even think she really had to do that to begin with. It's just an act. Because I think there was one video one time in the past where she was at home and she was like listening to one of her songs and she turned off really quickly because her daughter came in. That's it. That's her. That that is her to me. So it just doesn't understand. Like, well, we don't really understand why people do what they do, but she doesn't really have to do that. That is the crazy thing to me. That is the kicker. But she also is attracted to people that can make her famous. So, there's another thing. And maybe that's why she possibly took, you know, deciding to be with a man over a woman because maybe for her it's just like, well, women can't make me famous, but a man can. That's why I say it doesn't really give me very, oh, I just fell in love. No, 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 no. It gives me very strategic in a manner when it pertains to her getting involved with Offset, but I still get this energy that in some type of a way, he's somewhat of like a downfall, meaning that he is accumulating her wealth, the wealth that should be coming to her. I'm not saying it doesn't go to her, but it seems like it slides on over to him. Or that may be something that we start to see more coming up in the future, you know. I Her moon is in the fourth house, is in an angler house. Whenever the moon is in an angler house, then that's really good when in terms of like having fame and etc. etc. So again, that's why I said it's like you really don't have to try. So I don't understand why you are going for the personality of being a knucklehead, and it I guess to me it's kind of interesting how, I guess in a way people are just I maybe people are just like, Cardi B is who, she is who she is. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I don't know. Maybe I don't think the anger side really is her. Okay. Um, but people do crazy things whenever they're in survival mode. But it's like you're not in survival mode anymore, so you can cut the act. You can cut the shit. You know. But anyway, so I'm trying to see if there's anything else we could take a look at. Let me go back to her chart. There was something else I wanted to mention, and I just drew a blank. Kinda. Let me make this bigger because I can't. That's a little better. Okay. Ah, okay. The South Node, because the North Node is transiting Aries right now. Nodes, North Node, South Node, those are nodes of the moon. Okay, so the South Node is passing over Cardi B's sun. Okay. Now, Cardi B's sun is considered in detriment or at fall in Libra because the sun is exalted in Aries. I've already explained the story before. Think it. Libra, again, is tied to Aphrodite. The sun is tied to Apollo. Apollo is the reason why Aphrodite was embarrassed in front of the gods because he snitched. He told on her for having an affair. So maybe that's why the sun doesn't like being in Libra because it reminds him of the dirty, dirty bird that Aphrodite was being towards his brother. Dirty bird. Or uncle. I can't remember if Aries is considered the uncle to Apollo or the brother. I can't remember, but I know the story. So, and you know how they say because Venus is very hot. If we're just talking about astronomy, Venus is a very hot planet. So is the sun. They're right next to each other. So that could be another reason as well why they talk about how the sun burns Venus. Why is that? Well, the sun blew up Venus's spot. You know, the sun shed light on what Venus was pretty much doing in the dark. So Venus can't outshine the sun. Venus can hide from the sun because the sun is going to snitch on your ass. And that's what happened. But that is just, mythology wise in terms of why the sun does not like Venus. And I'm really putting for Hades to be the story next in terms of our Greek mythology dig. So we'll probably talk about Hades on the next episode of Greekism, I guess. So we'll talk about that, which is tied to Pluto and all that good stuff. So that'd be very interesting to talk about. But yeah, Cardi B or Belcalis, right? So she has Venus in Scorpio, which is also at fall, and she has Venus in the 11th house of her fans. So she may have a big falling out with her fans coming soon. But she also has Venus conjunct Pluto. Wow, can she make some money? But remember what I said, I really think that a lot of the money that she makes goes to some man, or again possibly goes to her husband. That's just my opinion again. Um but yeah, because Venus and Pluto, woo, oh yeah, that is some money. But like I said, she may have a humongous falling out if she hasn't already when it pertains to her fans. Now, Cardi B's real name is Belcalis, right? So that's why I'm looking at her Venus, because letter B is tied to Venus or tied to Taurus. So Belcalis, who she is, not Cardi B. Okay, we really need to look at this Venus in Scorpio. So let's actually take a stab at this. So her Venus is at 20 degrees Scorpio, and the 20th degree is tied to Scorpio. So the 20th degree of Scorpio, I think this is a degree where it shows that you may be so engulfed possibly in like your studies or your research, or you may be so, engrossed in this personality that you have, made, that you don't recognize the dangers. It's like two of swords. You're very blinded by the danger that is in front of you because you're too wrapped up in, like I said, the personality you've created for yourself or however. All right. So 20 degrees of Scorpio says, yep, accidents, danger of poison, independence, bold, forceful. Okay. Danger of poison. Now I'm going to go to my other resource and we're going to read about this 20 degrees Scorpio more in depth. Okay. So, by the way, this is on my website as well. If you guys want to download the PDF, and it gives you a description, a detailed description multiple times of all the astrology. Okay. Now, yeah, it's like almost 1,000 pages. So I hope you have the space to save it, but you totally can. So 20 degrees of Scorpio. At the top of a hillock, a bull paws the ground violently. In the field below, a horse gallops freely. Tenacious, passionate, and agile character. Since one cannot bear any form of constraint, one is determined to struggle for freedom, one's own as well as that of other people. Youth is plagued by hardships, but the sufferings undergone in early life turn into a powerful spur to later become a brilliant champion of law and social reforms. Booyah. So, Cardi B may do the Kim Kardashian pipeline. But again, we're talking about Belcalis here. We're talking about, I guess, Cardi B at her core, not stage name Cardi B, which is that what I was saying. It seems completely different, but we may see Cardi B transition in that type of person because I don't really think that she is going to make music long. In human design, Cardi B is a projector. So projectors always have to go for their passion. Yes. And passion is tied to what? Mars. So we already talked about Cardi B's Mars in Cancer, right? But her Mars is at fall and it's in the 7th house. So that's why I said I don't really think she's going to do music long. But I think that is proving itself, to be honest with you. So, but that may have been the intention from the beginning. But she may have made everybody else believe that that wasn't the case. But me looking at this chart, I would have believed that, oh, she is one and done. Not a one-hit wonder, but a one and done. A one album, out the way, make my coins, and I'm done. Because sustainability, I don't necessarily think that she has that on her own, in my opinion. Not saying she can't, but I don't necessarily think that she can do it. But at her core, I really don't think she wants to do it. This is where you got to be honest and you cannot be fickle. However, if you signed a deal, unfortunately, you got to kick that out, you know? You don't, Offset isn't making moves like Sierra's husband, Russell Wilson, who bought all of her masters so she can put out music if she wants to, or she could be a stay-at-home mom and everything will be okay. It's not a requirement. But for Cardi B, depending on her, and that's another thing as well that is kind of like a kicker to me, which maybe plays a point into what I was talking about before about men being at her fall. If you are her husband, and I'm pretty sure she probably has expressed this to him in terms of her not wanting to do music in that capacity like that, putting out albums and etc. Why would you not try to buy her masters? Why? Because my assumption, she probably would do it for you. But it goes back to what I said, a lack of respect. You can tell, even though he gets a lot of crap, you can tell when it pertains to Russell Wilson that he 100% respects Sierra with every fiber in his being, respects her so much that he invested in her so that she doesn't have to deal with the negativity or the struggle when it pertains to being locked into a deal in the music industry. That is love. That is, to me, that's him showing his love for her and how deep it runs. Offset, I'm sorry, I don't give a I don't care how much you touch her and stuff like that. It's not giving what everybody thinks is giving. That's my opinion. It's not. Um, what else was? Oh, I can't tell. She has Jupiter in Libra, I think. 0 degrees, yes. Well, North Node in the first house. Excuse me, very selfish. Hate to say it. But anyway, I'm trying to make this smaller because, or maybe I can't make it smaller. Okay, so I've talked for like an hour and 22. Do you guys have any questions about anything that I said in Cardi B's chart, or that you're looking at right now and you're curious about? Like, what's that? What's that? Yeah, North Node in the first house is it's giving very Courtney Kardashian. See how selfish she is to me. She gives me very selfish energy. Um, but yeah. I probably should have did a composite chart between Cardi B and Offset, but I might not have to because she's born on the 11th, which breaks down to number 2, so that's moon. Offset is born on, and I can just look it up this way. Offset birthday. I'm going to stop sharing this screen, and I'm going to pull up another screen so you guys can see Cardi B birthday. Okay. Stop sharing this Google search right here. Okay, so I'm on my Google searching. Okay, so any second now I'll pop up. There we go. Okay, as you can see, Cardi B, October the 11th, 92. Offset is December the 14th, 1991. So we have Moon and we have Mercury energy. All right. So if we just go based off of that, if we just go off of planetary relationships, just based off of the day that these two were born, let's take a look. Does the moon joy in does the moon and Mercury like each other? I don't know. I'm going to go to my relationships chart. Um It's weird. The moon likes Mercury, the Mercury doesn't like moon. Do you see what I'm saying where I made my point at the beginning where I said she's attracted to people that do not respect her. And I don't think I'm pretty sure I put this on my website, but this is a planetary friendships chart where it gives you all the planets and it tells you, the friends that they have, the ones that are enemies, and then the ones that are like so-so. Okay. So in the chart specifically, it says Moon is friendly with the Sun and Mercury. Okay. But when it comes to Mercury, Mercury is friendly with Sun and Venus, but it doesn't really care for the Moon. So even if we just don't even look at her composite relationship chart with Offset, there's a problem in terms of respectability. And I don't care right now if he's not getting caught. I still allegedly hold to what I'm saying. I don't really think he respects her. And I think the moon's not, we know the moon is a reflector, right? The moon is not stupid. She probably very much knows this. Now, but again, like I said before, because of her fixed stars on her Mars energy, if she goes after people that are famous, this is the downfall. So if she and Offset gets married, I really don't think she probably would go for being married to a celebrity again. I don't think she would do that. Or honestly, she may not even get married again at all. You know, if she and Offset were to get a divorce, because the Mercury is just not really rocking with the moon. It's just not. So it would probably do her well to maybe just focus more on being friends. Cause I don't think the love is gonna work. You could be sexually attracted to somebody, but that don't mean you're in love with them. You're just, I'm a little bit of a prude, maybe. So over sexual stuff, especially, it makes me cringe. It just makes me sweat at the gills, especially like if it's in public. I get it in private. I get that because it goes down in the DMs. But in public, I cringe at the seams. I do because why are you doing that? You don't have to do that. If you really feel safe. But some people probably just do it just because. But again, my opinion. Because she also is life path number 2. I don't know Offset's life path. He is 91. It's so interesting how when you search the first name that comes up, you would think would be Offset. But as you can see, Nicki Minaj is first, and then this guy is second. Just goofy. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 4, 1, 9, 9, 1. Offset is a number 1 life path number. Right? 28 is a 10, which is, yeah. Okay. So, planetary speaking, in terms of like the days that they were born, is not working. But as far as life path energies go, he is the sun and she is the moon. Okay. So essentially, she's going to follow him. But I still kind of get this vibe. I mean, I still, in my mind, still get this energy that friends. So I guess if they're probably really good friends, maybe that's why they're lasting this long, but something is missing here. Something is missing. But anyway, okay, so like I said, if do you guys have any questions about Cardi B's chart, what I already talked about, maybe something I need to go back over, or if you guys want me to do a composite chart on them, we could do that, but it's gonna be up to you guys, okay? If not, we're gonna call it. I know it's Sunday and you guys probably have better things to do. Oh my god, you guys have been talking. It wasn't showing up. Okay, so now I gotta scroll back up. Um, hey Yolanda, Siobhan, if you're still in here. Yolanda, I agree. That's what I said before. I understand why she threw it. I really do. You know. Um, I get that. Oh, thank you, Go. See, I did not know that. Thank you, Go, because I didn't know if she did, but in terms of her being with women, to me, I just feel like maybe that is actually her preference, but that's just my opinion. But again, like I said before, women can't give her the fame that men can give her. So she kind of put that to the side. It can work for some people. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I can't break. I can't break. I can't do it. Um, she just says what we're all thinking. Okay. Hmm. Yolanda. Yeah, Jocelyn is a nutball. Um, but again, like I said, I still feel like that those two, because they kind of like share the same life path number, they just take on the personality of the men they're dating, which can be really dangerous because who the hell are you? You know? But okay. Oh look, and this again is just all my opinion, it's all alleged, but that is just what I think. Okay? That's just what I think. No beef here. I don't have beef with anybody. I'm too in my own world to be honest. But anyway, I appreciate all you guys who stuck around this long to listen to me talk about Cardi B's chart. I really just wish she would just show to me that true side of her, that peace loving more consistently. I mean, that is the part that I feel like for me would just have me in a chokehold, because yeah, when somebody is at peace, the energy they give off, you just like, wow, you just want to be next to them because it just makes you feel so warm. I want her to show more of that, but the way the world is going, they're not making room for that to be a consistent thing. And I wish they would, because I know she has it in her to be very peace loving. Like I talked about the video that I saw of her like with her daughter doing home. I mean, come on. How could you not love that? But unfortunately the world wants you fighting. Why, I don't know, but that makes me melt. Like, oh my god, look how cute that is, doing homework and taking to school. So, um, anyway, so like I said, thanks so much, guys, for sticking around. Of course, this video will be up. You can comment on it, and if I missed something, feel free to let me know I missed something, and I'll be back for another Greek mythology story. So, see you later.